Hello, welcome to another family engagement short. I am Mara Grujanik, coordinator of family partnerships and engagement at Stevenson High School. And I'm so glad that you joined me today. Today, we're going to talk about how can you support your teen's emotional health. So we've been in school for about 5 weeks now. We're starting our 6th week. And teens have had a chance to get back into sort of the groove, back into school. How am I working out with my friends? What are my expectations for the year? And getting into classwork. And so now's the time when they can start feeling things that they weren't feeling before, or stress can be a little bit more of an issue. So how do you talk to your teen about their emotional health? You may find that they're, walking in the door, slamming things down, or super frustrated, or opportunities with friends aren't working out the way they wanted to. So they basically have challenges around like relationships or sports or peer pressure. And for most teens, a lot of these changes are temporary, but it's really important for us as the adults in their lives to talk to them about their mental wellness and their what they can do to support their mental health, because it's really important for us to be aware of any kind of challenges our teens are going through. And the more we know about how to support healthy mental health, then the more we can help our teens, and the more we can let them understand how to deal with the ebb and flow of sort of life, right? So our job as the adults in our teens' lives is to help them understand that they're going to have challenges, and we want to have regular conversations about how are you feeling, what's going on, what are you doing for yourself, so that what we're doing is we are removing any kind of stigma that might be around talking about how do I feel, so that it doesn't build up. Because then what we do is we're helping our teens understand that taking care of your mental health is just like part of the process. And if it's just normal, like, oh, I have, if they would come to you and say, hey, my throat hurts today, or I have an earache, being able to say, hey, I don't feel good inside, is just as important for us to understand and help our students through as an earache or a sore throat or anything else. So let's talk about, what do we do? How do we help our teens sort of manage that? Well, the most important thing is to live a healthy life physically. And I know it seems like really kind of silly about, well, why would your physical health impact your mental health? But a healthy lifestyle helps maintain a healthy psychological, like mental health too. So, because during the teenage years, everything's changing for our teens, right? Remember, their brains are developing almost as much as when they were little infants. That's how much brain development is going on. And so everything is coming at them all the time, and they're constantly changing and developing. So what's important? They need a lot of sleep. They need enough exercise. And for a lot of our students, so for some students, that's great because they're in sports. But for some of our students, they're not in a physically active co-curricular. They may be in a co-curricular where they sit down and they're having a meeting. And so you have to kind of talk to your teen about how much exercise are you getting. And I know a lot of our students go from like East building to West building, right? So that's called traveling, but that's not enough exercise. So if they're in things that their sports or their activities are not physical activities, then it's really a good idea to get 20 minutes of exercise every day. They can walk, they can bike, they can do yoga. The greatest thing about the fact that they all have iPads, like for me as a person who supports a student social emotional learning, is that there's all sorts of apps online that students can use for like breathing exercises and those kinds of things. But you can also get on YouTube and do like find a free yoga program or something like that, so they can get that 20 minutes of exercise in or physical activity in. Really, really important to talk to your student also about physical health. Are they drinking enough water? If you're not drinking enough water, you're tired, you're irritable, you have headaches. There's all sorts of things that come with being dehydrated, other than being dehydrated, right? So if they're getting a lot of headaches or they're super, super tired, you know your student is getting usually enough sleep, it's really important for them to drink more water. Taking small breaks throughout their study time. So when they're here, class times are 50 minutes, and then they walk to another class. So maybe taking a study break, a controlled study break. Sometimes you get into a study break and you don't get back. But a good study break while they're studying is really, really healthy as well. So that when they take and they make sure that they're exercising and they're getting enough sleep and they have good nutrition and they're drinking enough water, what you're doing for the 4 years of high school is you're helping them build the habits that they'll take with them after high school when you're not there, probably. And when they're living on their own, it becomes sort of a habit of mind. It's just what they do. And that sets them up for being physically able to deal with whatever comes at them. Then the other thing, so you set up a good, healthy lifestyle. Secondly, is coping skills. So every single person, everyone copes with stress or copes with things that they didn't anticipate differently. Most important thing to know. The way I deal with it is different than you deal with it. All the people in your household probably deal with things differently, but your availability to your team goes so far in helping them feel secure emotionally. So you just being there is really a benefit to your team, because what do? First of all, you provide support and encouragement and sort of like that soft place to land, that healthy, secure place that they can say, wow, I don't know how I'm going to manage this, or this is too much for me, or I'm feeling really overwhelmed. What your job is then to help them find ways to cope for them as they're trying to navigate through whatever the stress is. Or if they feel like they're really down for a while, or your ability to help them put a negative situation into perspective, right? When you have your teen come to you and they're just melting down, right? They're just crying, it is just too much, or they're very, very angry. That ability of saying, hey, I know you can get through this. How can I help you? You're maybe not the problem solver because you don't know all the things that are going on in your teen's life, but you certainly can be a good ear to help them think out and talk about what they can do to sort of get through whatever stress they're going through, or what are some of the options that they can go through to manage some of the stress. The other thing that you can really do as the adult in their life is, first of all, understand they trust you implicitly. And even if they're saying to you, you can't help me, they really want you to just be there for them. They just want to know that there is an adult that is always in their corner, no matter what. That's the most important thing that you can do. But the other thing you can do is you can help them think about some healthy exercises as they're maybe not in the middle of when they're really having a hard time. But, there's always, like we talked about before, online, there's these like breathing exercises, but there's also breathing exercises you can do just right there in the moment when you feel like you're really just, I don't know what I'm going to do. There's always that, Dr. Lisa Damour talks about square breathing, and it's not breathing in the square. It's you take a breath in for the count of 3 or 4, you hold it for the count of 3 or 4, you let it out for the count of 3 or 4, and then you hold that for the count of 3 and 4. What that does is it slows excuse me, it slows everything down in your body and it literally brings you down, it relaxes you a little bit. Some students feel drawing is a really good idea, or some kind of artistic expression is a really good way for them to calm themselves or just find some peace. Some people like to dance around or move. For some people, having a quick stop in like a dance party or something is a really great way. For some kids, probably for some kids, movement is a really good thing, or some kind of outdoor activity, walking around in nature. There's actually studies that say if you walk around outside in nature, it helps bring you down, it helps focus you, it helps relax you a little bit. And so the other thing they would do is they would reach out to someone like you. And that is a trust that is built by you being available, open to your student, hear your student, your team, listen to what they're saying, non-judgmental, and sort of reflect back to them like, well, how are you feeling? What do you think you can do? Where are people you can go to? You know, I'm always here for you. I believe in you. I believe you can do this. And really just listening to them, because most of the problems that they're dealing with are like doable and manageable when they first start. But your student is going to be able to manage them better when they're with you, and they know that you are there to guide them unequivocally. So what can you do? Most importantly, communicate with them openly, often, non-judgmental. We've talked about this. Really important for you to always check in with them. Hey, what's going on? What's happening with you? And what they'll do is they'll throw out little invitations, right? Oh, you can't help me. Try me. See what I can do. Why don't you just tell what's going on? What's happening with you? And then they're going to look for your reaction. They really are in tune to, because they know you. You know them better than anybody, but they know you really well too. And they know what's going to set you off. So they're going to look for like, how are you reacting to me? And then so it's something that you're building up gradually over time, right? Always offer support to them. Always offer like, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I help you navigate this? So you don't want to take the reins from them, because the reason you want them to solve those problems or work through those things is that then they know that they can do it. And they've traveled through that already once, and they've traveled through it with support, and they will be able to do it again. And they may need your support, 10 times or something before they say, hey, I think I know how I might want to go through this. And as they become more independent, then what will happen is they will come to you, and you can, in those conversations, you can say, well, what are you going to do? Well, how are you going to do that? When do you think you might want to do that? And then you're sort of reflecting back to them so that you can work through any kind of conflicts or hurdles that they have with them. So when you're having the conversations with them, you want to make sure that you're listening. You want to make sure that you acknowledge what they're experiencing. And it may seem trivial to you. You may be going through a lot of things in your life too, but what's going on with them is tough for them. So things like, I understand, or that sounds like a really hard thing, or if you notice that your teen is going through a lot of things that they're challenged with, notice things that they're doing well too. Notice what's happening with them, because adolescents, when they're adolescents, okay, and I just have to tell you this, I digress a little bit. Your teen is going through adolescence, like I think adolescence starts at like 12 or 14. It goes until they're 24 or 25. So think about that. That's a pretty long continuum. That's through high school, through any kind of post-secondary work or internships that they might have, and into the beginning of like independence, adulthood, that kind of thing. So through all of that, think about all the time that they're going to have to move from adult in my life solved my problem for me. 2, having someone trusted that they can talk to. 2, having someone that they can say, hey, this happened to me and this is how I think I'm going to solve it. Then 2, hey, this is what went through. So listening, super important. If it's something that's really that you like makes you really upset, try really hard not to discuss it while you're upset. Take some time away for yourself, because the most important thing that you can do is you need to be able to take care of yourself and find time to be there for your student in a good, healthy mind. I have on here an emotional checklist that I'd like to share with you. I'm going to put it in the chat. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, it's in the description of this chat. And it's just an emotional wellness checklist, and it's something objective that you could talk about with your team, ways to sort of deal with, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. And it's something objective that if you feel your teen is someone that's better, if you just sort of print something out or share something with them digitally and they read it on their own, and then you can discuss it later if that works for you, that it's something I just wanted to share with you. Wanted to thank you very much for joining me today for this discussion. Really appreciate it. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about helping your teen with focus, again at noon. We are into the 6th week of our grading period. That means the first set of grades will be coming out. They're not final grades. They're just housed. It's like a check-in after the first 6 weeks. This is a really good time for you to get into the interactive report card, check out what have your students done. If there's any missing work, have a conversation with them about what are their plans for completing that work, or what are their plans for reaching out to their teachers and advocating for themselves and asking about what they can do to complete that work. You want to sort of, this is a great touch point time to say, how are you doing? How do you feel you're doing in your classes? What are you doing on your free time? How are you doing in your free time? And so part of that is to kind of think about, how are our students focusing, and are there distractions around them, and how can you as the adult in their life help them maintain that focus? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you so much again for joining me. I hope you have a great day and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.